Moscow, when it finally appeared during a pre-release screening Tuesday night in Moscow. One of the most hotly anticipated scenes in Russian cinema this year elicited not gasps of alarm, as critics had suggested it would, but instead a few giggles. In the scene, a ballerina exposes her breast to the young Nicholas II, who was to become the last czar of Russia, during a performance on the stage of St. Petersburg's storied Mariinsky Theater. It was said to have been an accidental loosening of her leotard. But as the movie, Matilda, chronicles, this was no inconsequential wardrobe malfunction, but one that led to a love affair between the future czar and the ballerina, Matilda Kshesinskaya. The problem today is that the Russian Orthodox Church canonized Nicholas II in 2000. Many Orthodox Christians consider the scene and the suggestion of a premarital affair by the czar offensive to the point of being heretical. As a result, the movie has been met with threats, arson attacks on theaters and calls for a ban. The police briefly detained 7 activists outside the Oktyabr movie theater Tuesday evening, the news agency TASS reported, and the movie's distributor has requested police protection for its nationwide opening on Thursday and over the weekend. Continue reading the main story. Related coverage. Russian Orthodox Church blocks funeral for last of Romanov remains Feb. 13, 2016. Russian punk band is sentenced to 2 years for anti-Putin protest. Aug. 17, 2012. Advertisement. Continue reading the main story. However, most Russians, and certainly those at the screening in Moscow on Tuesday, take little or no offense at a bit of nudity in a period costume drama. Photo. Matilda Kshesinskaya in the role of Matilda Kshesinskaya, the ballerina who is believed to have had an affair with Tsar Nicholas II. She did not attend the premiere. Credits Rock Films LLC, via Associated Press. The famous scene, in which Matilda Kshesinskaya exposes her breast right on the stage of the Imperial Theater, brought a not trembling, but some quiet laughter, wrote elicited.ru, a news website. It shows, it seems, just how far contemporary Russia is from the epoch of the czars. And yet, in recent years, the government of President Vladimir V. Putin has all but enshrined conservative Orthodox Christianity as a state ideology and has deferred to the church on cultural matters, setting up a tug-of-war over the movie's release. The release of trailers earlier this year was enough to prompt arson attacks on a movie theater in Ekaterinburg and on 2 cars outside the Moscow office of a lawyer representing Alexei Uchidel, the movie's director. The German actor who played Nicholas II, Lars Eidinger, and the Polish actress playing Ms. Kshesinskaya, Matilda Kshesinskaya, declined to attend the premiere in Russia out of concern for their safety. At the screening on Tuesday, opponents stood with icons and portraits of Nicholas II and some recited prayers. One woman held a sign saying, "Matilda slanders the anointed." One bearded protester tried to hand one of the film's actors, Yevgeny Mironov, coins representing the 30 pieces of silver that Judas was paid to betray Jesus, Gazeta.ru reported. The groups protesting included the Tsar's Cross and 4040s, the latter a reference to the prominence of religion and the abundance of church onion domes in medieval Moscow. There were said to be 1,600 of them, 40 times 40. Photo. Police officers detaining a protester with a portrait of Tsar Nicholas II outside a screening of Matilda in Moscow on Tuesday. Credit Pavel Golovkin, Associated Press. At the showing on Monday in St. Petersburg, at the same Mariinsky Theater, where much of the movie's plot unfolded, 24 or so Orthodox activists and monarchists stood outside holding posters saying, "Hands off the Russian Tsar and the Tsar will return and put things in order." On the other side of this Russian cultural chasm, 3 young anti-clerical activists also showed up holding a sign saying, "We will rescue you from Orthodox terrorists." In fact, the authorities have taken a step to quell the protests by arresting the leader of a group that had threatened violence over the film, The Christian State, suggesting that in this instance pro-Orthodox activists had gone too far, even by Kremlin standards. The Interpreter newsletter. Understand the world with sharp insight and commentary on the major news stories of the week. Sign up. See sample privacy policy opt-out or contact US anytime. In Moscow, the attacks raised alarms in an artistic community fearful of a return of Soviet-style censorship and prompted dozens of film directors to sign an open letter of protest. Mr. Uchidal has said that the movie depicts an affair widely documented in archives and generally accepted by historians. The Tsar, Mr. Uchidal said, became a saint for his martyr's death before a Bolshevik firing squad, not for how he lived his life. The real-life Matilda had a thing for Romanovs. Ms. Kshesinskaya not only had the affair with the heir, but went on to date two of his cousins and eventually married one. Nicholas II ended the affair when he married a fitting royal bride, a German princess, an act sometimes interpreted as choosing the throne over love. Whatever the case may be, historians say his haphazard ruling style helped lay the groundwork for the communist revolution in the country exactly a century ago.